what? Every Tuesday we get to engage with Mororo Wagaskukune. For those who don't know, he is the UL Debating Society chairperson right here at the University of Limpopo. Are you still the chairperson in this year, Mororo?
Yeah, we're having our elections very soon,
Okay.
so hopefully I'm coming back again.
Okay, hopefully.
Yeah.
Welcome back, and Tungogomoso, man.
Thanks. Almost to you and the listeners.
How have you been? How was your festive and whatnot?
Super interesting.
Okay.
Spent much of my time doing debating. Then after that I went to church, so I spent a lot of time just refreshing and
Amazing.
So it was super interesting. How was your festive?
My festive was also, I was just working. I was working. I was working, but that last week I went home. It was also so calm. Didn't do much than, other than rest.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that you're here, Morore, because
Thanks.
been a minute. And today, guys, we are discussing something that is quite, overlooked in the country, and that is classism, And Morore, one thing I can say about this is that when people hear classism, they think about, or rather they think it's a big academic word.
Yeah.
Right? And I want you and I to break it down today. And maybe you can let us know, what does classicism actually look like in everyday life?
So, classicism in practical sense looks like the fragmentation of society and stratification into various specific ways of living in society, right? This is mostly determined by material condition.
Okay.
Let me say more specifically material conditions, because then it overlaps in the material condition of that particular class that is being existing. Then gets to determine whom deserves to be part of that particular class. The more you have access on ownership to materials, the more you grow up the ladder into the hierarchy of classes in society. So the kind of education you get, the kind of church you go, the kind of Christianity you practice, it's just specifics as to what kind of lifestyle do you live based on your access to material conditions. Yeah.
I'm talking about this because I've seen a lot of, videos around classicism, especially online. People are complaining, they're like, okay, suddenly people don't get it anymore because now you are no longer that poor or whatever.
Yeah.
And now I think we don't talk much about it as well. I feel like we overlook it. South Africa talks a lot about inequality, race as well. But it's not always about classicism. Why do you think it's overlooked, especially here?
I think, to the question you've asked, why is classism overlooked and there are specific conversations to race and inequality, is because those are components of classicism. Classicism manifests through such components. It's your race that mostly determines the class that you get to exist in society. Because you're white, you have access to certain you get to exist within a certain class in society. Because you are of this kind of living within this kind of wage or salary, then you get to live within this kind of society. But also not just inequality in terms of financial resources, but inequality in terms of the ability and capacity to do things, but also equity that exists in that particular space, right? Because you're a woman, you're likely less to become a CEO of this big corporation. That means then likeliness of women participating in this kind of market or economy determines where they get to be placed in society. But because majority of women are not having access and equity to such economic participation, then they get to be placed in the lowest classes. So those things are component of classicism, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I just want us to talk about the middle class per se and pressure, because I think we are aware what it. Sometimes people do even have the pressure to look successful, You want to put on a certain front or a certain image for the world to see. Why is that? Why do you think is that? Even when people are drowning financially, is that also linked to classicism, somehow?
I think the uppest in the highest in the ladder gets to benefit from such kind of behavior. Because if you're feeling the urge to want to look successful, but you're not financially doing well, somehow the Louis Vuitton that you buy belongs to someone who's upper in your class, and they get to benefit from that.
I see.
So that kind of struggle, the upper class to the class that you exist in, because you are subject to that psychological and behavioral, I want to call it disorder, but they get to benefit heavily so much from it. You want to eat at this restaurants, who own them? You want to buy this car, who owns this car? You want to dress this way, who owns these things? And if you check, some of these people who are up there in the ladder, they don't succumb to such kind of psychological behaviors and so forth. Look at how they dress. Mark Zuckerberg. Look at the founder of Apple. How does he dress? Just dress a simple t-shirt and a trouser. Of course, they might be expensive, people to argue, but there's no expressive fleshiness that exists within the kind of middle class that we see today. So, yeah, they get to benefit.
Would you say this has somehow linked to maybe trauma that comes with poverty? Because now you've been suffering for so long, you know, you've been suffering, was not the just long, and now when you come into the space, you're like, okay, I need to. Would you say it's maybe trauma that comes with poverty, maybe?
Yeah. Poverty is traumatic.
It is.
I think the most traumatic thing, especially in this world now, is to experience this cooked poverty. Like if you can't wear Louis Vuitton t-shirt or a Nike t-shirt, you must be poor, and you're gonna experience this kind of backlash from society, and especially from the few who have access to those things. And you're gonna feel it that you don't have a Nike shoe, and everybody else, maybe not everyone, but they are dressing Nike shoes. You're gonna feel it. So the moment where you are emancipated from that lowest level in the lowest classes, and maybe you are hooked into working now, your salary, instead of using that to develop yourself, you're hooked in the very same position without you noticing that you're hooked in the very same position, because now you can afford a Nike shoe. You want to buy many of them to look like you can afford, but you're still in the same place. You're still in the same place with a Nike shoe. Yeah.
You know, I've seen it this December, you know, Christmas clothes and whatsoever. And I think parents as well were so under pressure on buying that particular branded shoe so that they can prove a point. We're not so, you know, poor guy, at least I can afford 1 and 2 and 3.
But the question, does it elevate you from that poverty?
It doesn't.
But you look like you are
elevated.
So it's a very, poverty is traumatic. It deals with us.
It does.
Properly.
It does. Because now it even shows up in the, you know, in our daily lives, you know, the kind of remarks people would make when you are at a certain level. Suddenly everyone who's, you know, down there is lazy. They can't even find jobs. You know, they're lazy to even seek jobs, you know. Yeah. It looks like someone assuming that someone is so arrogant because they are now, or people are now arrogant into what's happening because they don't even have the resources to start with. But
are they really different from me, who can afford? Because look at this, you earn 40,000.
Sure.
The money comes in, you pay a bond, you pay a car, you pay clothes, whatever card you pay. You go to an expensive restaurant. If you earn by the 15th, by the 19th, you don't have any money at all. Yeah. Are you that different from me who don't really have anything else? Because none of those things that you think you really own, first of all, they don't really belong to you. Lose that job, you will see.
Yeah.
So poverty makes us look at things that don't really matter, and because we're in acquisition of them, we think we're elevated from the poverty we're subjected to. Right? But we're still poor in our daily lives. I was speaking to one profession is working. It's like, bruh, you know, I'm working and I think I'm working a proper job in society, but if you remove 5,000 from my salary, you messed up my life. So it is that kind of things that make it so traumatic, and for the fact that sometimes you don't even see it, it's problematic. So there's a kind of phenomenon that exists within the lower classes that exist, and I think that's what keeps the upper class where they are. There's this analogy, I've seen it somewhere. These people are moving in a train. So train, the train has components, right? So from the captain, you start with the richest of the richest, then comes and comes and comes. But now the train was moving up the hill. As it moves up the hill, it does not have any more energy or coal to
go up.
So the communication from the captain is that we need to have your clothes, anything that belongs to you, give it to us so that we can power the engine and keeps it moving. So the lowest of the lowest, they were like,
Uh-huh.
no, give us your clothes because we have to move. They were like, nah, we're not doing it. They said, no, take money.
Mm-hmm.
So the uppest, they were giving those poor people money. People were giving their clothes. Till the last person who had to give the last material that they had, that the person who was collecting those things, he took the money, wafola that component,
Okay.
and it fell.
Then
And the richest of the people took the money, took the clothes, and it kept part moving forward. It's because of those things that we don't see as the poor or the lower classes in society, that we think by us giving our clothes to these people and getting this small money and then get money, you give your clothes and you think you're emancipated. It will be on the day where Baba Fola, this component, you realize, or I was not actually different from
any of them.
the people who were in 2 or 3 components behind me. It is only the captain's component and the component next to the captain that really mattered. And the train went forward even beside you. So that is the challenge poverty and classism create in society. And they get to survive because of the struggle and psychological behaviors of these other people.
And it's how it affects humanity as well. You know, we lack empathy now because now I think I'm better, you know.
Yeah.
It also creates shame, you know. I think somehow it comes down to people are no longer empathetic as they used to be.
Clear. In that component, believe you not, the person who had the most expensive t-shirt to sell thought he was the better of the rest because he received more money.
Sure.
The person who had more things in his position and he was exchanging those things for money, he thought he was like, I'm better than everyone here because I can exchange more. Not realizing at the end of the day, you are still part of the people who will be kicked out by society because you're maintaining the continuity and the lifestyle of those in the upper class, and they get to benefit from your own ego as an individual. You don't say it, but they'll move forward and they'll leave you.
You'll be left behind. This is a very hard pillow. A hard pill to swallow, rather.
Yeah.
You know, and I think certain things don't really matter. You know, you go to well-advanced countries, you know, well-advanced countries, fully developed, and you can tell transport, they get to use public transport, you know. That particular car here, he's going to suffer that side because now that status is, you know, ripped off him in a way. You know what, we can talk. The year has started. What are some of the best hopes for the UL Debating Society this year?
Interesting question. We used to travel more, participate in more international tournaments, but also to grow our debate society. I think for the past few years, because we had some issues, we're slowly coming back into the debate circuit, and believe you not, this year we have one of the best who are joining us, and I think we're gonna be reclaiming our name in there. So
amazing.
Yeah.
How do we form part of the society? Should someone want to?
Affiliation fee 200. I think that is the most important one.
Okay.
Then you can go to social media handles to try to follow us and get to communicate from there. Or you can text me. I don't know if I should leave my number here, but 064 761 6564. 064 761 6564. You can text and then pay, then we add you to the groups.
All right, guys, we have learned today with Mororo Askukuna. He is the UL Debating Society chairperson. We were on classicism, and I think the analogy that he gave me today, or gave us today, was just eye-opening. Thank you so much for joining me today. Looking forward to more sessions with you right here. And all the best, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. That